Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your Volvino Shorty, and today we are going to be reviewing Carnage. And Carnage is not one of those characters that I'm usually a big fan of. Some people have been watching this for a while, or even going back further, we're thinking, well, Shorty, you're also getting Venom. You must love symbiotes. I really don't. What I love is Ram V, and to a lesser extent, I Ewing. But Ram V is the lead writer on Carnage, so even though Venom is not particularly my favorite thing I'm reading, it feels like a slightly pure version of it could come across through Carnage, and also you're not let down by Hitch's artwork as you are in Venom. Now, that being said, there are things I like about it and things I don't, so let's kind of go through it. But we start with things I don't like, and most of those have very little to do with Ram V whatsoever. What they mostly have to do with is the backstory here. They're completely different artists and different writers. I've been told this is like some of the early creative team for original Carnage stuff, but it reads like a very, very hackneyed, very hokey morality play, and it is not handled well, like at all. It is simplistic, it is predictable. The artwork tries to grab hold of this sense of deep violence and disturbing nature, but cuts away from most things, or it's seen off camera. It just feels like this issue 1 of Carnage was trying to do more than it wanted to. What it also did at the end was a couple of these, like old school comic strip kind of things. And those are actually quite good fun. They're simple little one-note jokes, and that's fine. There's only a few panels in a strip, so you don't have to worry too much about depth, but they land reasonably well. But those things I don't like. Let's talk about things I do like. First off, it's about the artwork of the main series by Michelini, I believe. I'm probably pronouncing that name incorrectly. And the artwork, it starts with like a big thing. It is literally an Event Horizon spaghettification kind of thing going on there, which doesn't really get referenced that much heavily in the rest of the comic book. A nice twist of the writing is the fact that this is the first thing we see, but the comic then spends the rest of the time building up to it, but we still never actually see it. Very much a come back next week kind of thing. But then later on, we get this page. I'm going to try and get this so you can see in which camera you're looking at here. And look at the faces and how pitifully that's been done. There's so much attention being put into the horrific stuff that's happening. And yes, you may be thinking, butterflies, moths, how's that horrific? They're literally just torn through somebody's abdomen, spilling blood everywhere. That I thought, well, maybe they're just going to, be inconsistent on their artwork. They're concentrate on the horror stuff and leave the rest of it behind. I thought this would be the case. I was very wrong. First time we get to see Carnage, the symbiote known as Carnage, looking very, very cool there. Lots of attention to detail, playing with the spiral motif quite nicely from the whole King in Black thing. By the way, the King in Black thing, all that's happened, this stuff that's relevant, the fact that Cletus is not part of Carnage anymore, go and read that while that's somewhere else. I do not have the time or the inclination to get into it. Anyway, artwork. It was when I saw that I thought, actually, I haven't seen any other bad artwork other than that one panel. So I kind of paid attention a bit more. I was looking backwards and forwards because I don't like the idea of like my initial instinct, my initial impression, should I say, being the only thing that I take away from a comic book. And the more I was reading it, the more I was like, yeah, the actual art is really good. That one bad bit of artwork in one good panel is not enough to turn me off it. And I really, by the end of it, I was enjoying it. There's some very nice cinematic framing moments. There's some excellent double page spreads. The detailing you get on some of the more horrendous stuff when he's torturing people is really good, but it never feels gratuitous. The writing feels a bit gratuitous, but clearly done on purpose. There's an awful lot of very heavy-handed, over-the-top, super villain or serial killer monologuing or dialogue even, and it comes across like so overwrought and so purple in its prose, but it's on purpose. It works. These are people who love the sound of their own voice and love talking about what they do because they love what they do. It comes across as a characterization thing rather than bad writing, and I think that's fantastic because Ram V is a great writer. Throughout this, his writing is fantastic. There's some brilliant dialogue between just cops and people at a crime scene that feels like these are people who know each other and have a working relationship and bounce ideas off each other, including insults and things like that, in ways that are very, very cool to see. It feels still scripted rather than naturalistic, but it's very well scripted. And the overall writing is good as well. That thing I was talking about earlier where it starts past the end, I thought we were going to get a bit more of that because it kind of jumps backwards and forwards from narrative viewpoints, but it never plays around with time at any point after that initial drop. The rest of it is very much just carrying on telling a narrative story, but breaking it into really nicely managed chapters, focusing on different people and giving you insights into what's going on there rather than just a single point narrative or a single perspective point narrative. It is really good. The artwork is better than Venom. The writing is better than Venom. Yes, we are trying to effectively do another relaunch of an established character, and it could be seen as interesting to do. I'm going to hold my judgment on that one for a few more issues, because at the moment it still feels like Carnage is Carnage, which is effectively a big bad in the Marvel Universe that is going to do a whole bunch of terrible things, and nobody can stop it until right at the end, when they'll figure out that there's always been a way they could stop it, and then they'll stop it. It's very much like the Joker of the Marvel Universe, and it's not something I'm a huge fan of. So I'm really hoping that Ram V, showing what he can do in this early issue, can actually build up quite nicely to a worthwhile reinvention of the character. That's it from me for this week, though. I'll be back next week. Until then, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.